Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Dive with Jamie Stein and our continuing exploration of Scamanda, the summer house scandal that has most recently rocked the Bravo verse. I'm going to use today to explore Ciara and all of this. I realized after doing Amanda and West, who got the immediate attention, because obviously they're the driving forces of Scamanda in the sense that they're the ones who conspired to have this affair behind Ciara and Kyle's backs. You know, they were the ones who, in a lot of ways, took us by quote unquote surprise to varying degrees. So obviously they're the ones who get the most immediate attention, right? But I realized something would feel really off about not bringing Ciara into the equation because she's also a huge player in all of this. And I realized that Ciara is someone who I think does have a deep relationship to, again, not feeling chosen, feeling used, feeling left behind. I mean, even just saying those words, I can feel how deeply that hits such a core, deep place in her heart. And I realized there just would feel like something energetically off about leaving her behind in this exploration. And it's almost like what I'm feeling for Ciara, just even as I say these words, like the invitation here, because I'm always thinking about what's the invitation of any given situation in our lives. You know, we're here presumably to learn lessons. If you believe in that, we're here to grow and evolve over the course of a lifetime for the sake of our evolving spiritual consciousness over many lifetimes. So these conflicts, these dramas, these struggles arise for us to learn and grow from, wherever that takes us. And so I'm always navigating that question for myself, for my clients, for my friends, for Bravo celebrities. You know, what's the lesson here? Or one of the lessons. And I just feel something so deeply. I just keep hearing the words for Ciara to take her say, to claim her seat at the table. To claim her seat at the fucking table. And yeah, I want to help her to do just that by allowing her to claim her seat at this table and to essentially say West and Amanda don't get all the attention, and that Ciara's voice, presence, and participation in this matters. And it's interesting. I mean, I'm pausing because I feel things just saying this. Like, I feel, if I slow this down for a second, like it's almost like I feel the part of Ciara that has historically felt safer to stay in the shadows. I feel the part of Ciara that has felt stuck in the shadows, that has been put in the shadows by others. Yeah. Sorry. I'm just pausing. It's like, I mean, there's so much going on in my heart. Like I've felt sad since the moment I sat down to record this episode. And it's like, there's fear. I mean, it really does feel dangerous as Ciara to come out of the shadows. I just keep feeling that. Like, it feels dangerous. It reminds me, you know, I always had this impulse to drop into Ciara towards her messy bed, you know, because the messy bed gets so much attention. And I never actually made a reel or a podcast about it, but I've intuitively poked around. And what I've always sort of felt around it, just from my initial little exploration, was, again, a sense of safety, a sense of control, like a cocoon. Like a cocoon, that it's just, especially for someone like Ciara, who obviously does have so much powerful energy, right? It's like, look at what she's creating for herself. You know, she's on the hit reality show, successful nurse, successful model, out there in the world in a big visible way. So when I say there's something in her that feels safe in the shadows, obviously, there's also something in her that really has a drive to be visible and is able to actually manifest that for herself. And so it's like the messy bed to me always felt like, yeah, like just like a form of control. Like, okay, I can be out there in the world. I can be visible in this way, but the mess is kind of like my own form of titration. It's just my form of like, let me, it's like the emergency brake. It's like, let me pump the brakes a little bit. Like there's something about if my room were clean, my bed were clean, and I were just in the energetic flow of like cleanliness, it's like then there's no emergency brake. There's nothing to hide behind. There's no secret screen. It kind of almost reminds me of like, you know how sometimes for some people, if they, let's say they have a lot of excess weight, you know, or they're heavier than they want to be, it can be a form of hiding. It's like, it's protection. It's like a literal armor, right? It's like people can't on a certain level see the quote unquote real me if I'm hiding behind this extra weight. It's almost like what that feels like for Ciara. It's like, this is something I can hide behind. Like I said, it's a cocoon I can disappear into. It's just like a little safety valve. And there was this feeling like, if I don't have this safety valve, if I don't have this screen I can kind of disappear behind, like something bad could happen. It's always what it's felt like. It's like, I'm not safe. I'm not safe to be out there in the world. It almost, as Ciara, I always almost feel it as like an energy of like attack. Like something's gonna come up from behind me and fucking slam me the fuck down. I'm gonna get like swatted down before I even know it. And so, yeah, I just noticed, like, as I'm talking through all of this, like, there is a very, I'm just experiencing, like I said, it's like a fear of doing or saying the wrong thing. It's almost like, as I really slow this down, like, what I hear is kind of like, I don't want to just skip over this fear. Like there's wisdom in the fear. I mean, there's wisdom in everything, right? And it's almost like, I mean, it's so funny, you guys. Like I could almost not do this whole podcast. Like it's like the words, I'm fumbling with my words. I don't quite know where to go or how to go forward. And there's something in me that could truly just shut this all down and sort of stop recording, walk away, and just never release this episode. And even as I say that, part of me actually that feels really good and right. It's like this feeling like I don't want to drag Ciara out of the shadows against her will. It's this feeling like there's something very deep and tender that she's protecting inside of herself. And it's this feeling of like not wanting to bring something into the light before it's ready. And it's almost this feeling of like, maybe there are some things that are not meant to see the light. Meaning, like, you know, my colleague and colleague, friend, and astrologer who's been on this podcast, Michael Lennox, I remember he was once giving me a astrological reading, and he told me, you have a relationship to sacred hiding, which was really interesting because I've always navigated, you know, I think I've talked about, like, I've had a huge fear of visibility in my life, and, you know, a lot of my own inner work has been challenging the places in me where I want to withdraw from visibility and from life. And so I kind of internalized a voice that any part of me that wants to hide is symptomatic of something working against myself. And it was actually Michael Lennox who said it. Well, no, I mean, yes, be mindful of where it's becoming distortion, but you actually have a relationship to sacred hiding. And that felt really right to me. I've actually received that message from so many people. Like, I've just received that wisdom of like kind of just give people just a taste of things. Don't give them everything. And there is something to me that feels so resonant about like the mystery, the sacred mystery, and not everything needs to be said, not everything needs to be revealed. There's something really powerful about the mystery, the sacred hiding. And so I'm saying all this, you know, that's sort of what I'm feeling for Ciara. It's like, there's something here to respect. And I notice as I say that, I continue to feel this very deep sadness. It's almost like if I were working with Ciara, I'd actually would want to explore this with her and really find out whether this notion of mystery and sacred hiding feels resonant with her, and whether it's something she really consciously owns for herself. Because, you know, the path of the seer can be a very lonely path because you're the one who sees. You know, you're the one who sees, you're the one who's clocking things. And oftentimes it's our places of, well, often / all the time, it's our places of deepest wounding that also carry our deepest gifts and sacred calling. And so I'm just now thinking if like Ciara does have this deep relationship to feeling left behind, to feeling unseen, unheard, is there like an inversion of that where she's actually like the sorceress in the shadows who's weaving her magic that no one fucking knows about? Like there's power in being in the shadows and being behind the curtain. Like I'm suddenly seeing her, you know, for anyone, I know I'm always dating myself, but for anyone who's familiar with Lady Hawk, that movie from the 1980s with Michelle Pfeiffer, Rutger Hauer, Matthew Broderick, where she plays a woman who half the time is a hawk, half the time she's a human. But she, anyways, the point is Michelle Pfeiffer wears this like hooded robe when she's human. And then you kind of see her like blue eyes piercing from underneath the robe. And it's almost like I'm seeing Ciara in this, like, it's far more beautiful. Michelle Pfeiffer was just wearing this like ugly, like almost like peasant's robe. But Ciara is like decked out in this like beautiful, gorgeous, scarlet, crimson, like scarf robe, sacred outfit of some kind. And like she's like her face is literally cloaked in protective shadow, and then her eyes are like piercing red through them. Oh yeah, oh my god, it makes me feel so like excited and giddy just saying this. And it's like I said, it's like she's practicing her sorcery from the shadows and no one even fucking knows she's doing it. So I wonder if there's something here for Ciara about really like if part of claiming her seat at the table, like in terms of her relationship with herself, is claiming her right conscious relationship to the one who's left in shadows. I mean, I would kind of reframe it. It's not that she's being left behind in shadows. It's like she's, you know, she's a shadow keeper. She's hanging out in the shadows. She has a sacred relationship to the shadows. And it's almost like, oh, it's so interesting. Okay. It's like you'd never know this about, it's like her little secret. Because this is the thing. It's like, I talked about this in last week's episode. Like Ciara, I felt like clocked something with West in that first season where it's like, I mean, this is my experience. I feel like something in her knew this guy was not serious about her in the same way that she was serious about him. And that's why she kept checking it out and checking it out. And that's why I was sitting there on the other side of the screen saying, Ciara, like, honor your fucking inner knowing. He's showing you, he's not giving you a clear answer. I think Ciara fucking knew. That's like her inner wisdom. That's her sorcery. And I felt like what I watched was her betray her own inner knowing. And I feel like I saw her do it this season where it's like there's something she clocked about what Jesse was doing. And then he sort of gave that, in my mind, sort of like perfunctory bullshit apology. And I feel like on some level, Ciara knows like these guys aren't worth her time. She knows what they're all about deep down. Oh my God, my leg is like vigorously tapping back and forth because it's so alive with energy right now. And it's like she doesn't listen to her own inner knowing. And I'm saying that because it's like, this is what I'm talking about. It's something about Ciara. Oh, that's so interesting. It's something about Ciara owning her inner knowing fully. So that when someone like West comes along and isn't meeting her in her conviction, rather than kind of glossing over her own inner conviction, she instead looks him dead in the eye with those sorcerer's eyes piercing out from the red robe and says to him, you know what? You're not giving me a straight answer. Come back when you're ready to give me a straight answer. And walks away. Now, this is what's so interesting. It's all starting to come together. What I kind of feel in Ciara as I say all of this is there's this inner relationship to feeling left behind, not being chosen, feeling used. And it's almost like, and this is what we all do, guys. I'm about to illustrate how we all keep ourselves stuck in our own unconscious beliefs and stories. I can imagine that there might be something in Ciara that's like, I don't want to walk away from West because then it's like, I'll then be left alone with my convictions. Like he's not going to come and fight for me, right? He's not going to come back with the full throttled yes that I'm looking for. And then this will prove my fearful belief that I'm always left alone, that I'm never chosen, that I'm not worth fighting for. So what she does perhaps is she overrides her inner knowing, hoping beyond hope that if she just kind of muddies it enough, West will then come through for her and choose her. And then she won't have to feel that pain of aloneness. But that's where she betrays herself. Right? Like that's where she abandons herself. That's where she leaves herself behind. And she betrays her inner knowing to perhaps avoid that temporary experience of pain and heartbreak where the man doesn't come through for her, but then in doing so, sets herself up to be even more heartbroken because she ends up, pursuing things and getting more serious and being intimate with a guy that on some level she knew was never going to be there for her in the first place. And then he, rather than her being the one to end it, I mean, I think that's really it, right? Rather than her being the one to have the clean, clear, empowered, sovereign, heartbreaking no, she sets herself up to be the one who then gets rejected and dismissed by the man boy that she knew was a man boy in the first place. And then that becomes the evidence and the proof of, see, this is what happens when I put myself out there. This is what happens when I trust a guy. This is what happens, when I dare to believe. Men always let you down. And so wash, rinse, and repeat. And I say all this again because it's like I have just been so struck. There's just always been this feeling of like, I just feel like I watch Ciara settle. Whether it's West, whether it's Jesse, it's like there's something she knows and then she kind of overrides it. And so the reason that I'm saying this, it's almost like I just keep getting this sense of like, it's almost like Ciara tells herself there's a way that she sort of needs to fit into the world. Like it almost feels like she's a round peg who's trying to fit herself into a square hole. Like I almost just had this sense for her. Initially, it kind of came in like, is this a woman who even belongs on reality TV? Like what is she doing there? Like almost like when I feel into her powerful sorceress energy, her powerful shadow energy, I'm just like, girl, like what the fuck are you doing on reality? Like you do, like get off reality TV. Like you need to be like in the protective sanctuary of your like fortress, weaving your magic and like creating big things for yourself, like in the safety of the shadows. Like you don't need to be like putting yourself out there on reality TV, just like you shouldn't be like comporting yourself to try to make yourself available for West or guys like Jesse. But then as I sat with it for a moment, it's almost this feeling of like, no, I mean, again, like there's something in Ciara that does want to be visible. And again, the sorceress feels like something that's private and for her and that's in her back pocket. And it's almost just like this, it's like this energetic shift or pivot where it's like if I were working with Ciara, really supporting her to do reality TV in the way that she wants to do reality TV, if that makes sense. Like entering Summer House with this secret in her back pocket. Like it's sort of like, oh God, how do I put this into words? Entering this house as the secret sorceress. You know, so it's sort of like, what does that mean in practical application? There's a way in which, so like when she clocks Wes or she clocks Jesse, it's almost like this internal attitude of, okay, I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who the fuck you are. I'm going to keep this light. I'm going to keep this fun. I might even have some deep, quote unquote, conversations with you. But there's an energetic distance I'm always going to have. And I know that I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Meaning like this summer house is just one fucking stop along the way. I'm coming in, I'm weaving my magic, and then I'm bouncing on out to bigger and better things. It's just kind of like, as opposed to, oh, here's this guy West. Let me get really invested in him. Let me make myself available for him. Let me make this the entree. You know, like the big, deep relationship I'm going to have on this reality show on Bravo, which is also this is the entree of my professional life. Like, let me play the game. Comporting myself to make myself available to a guy like Wes, to have a romance on a show like Summer House. Like, you know, in a certain way, it's like she's playing the game. And it's sort of like what I feel for Ciara is, again, I'm here for 1 or 2 seasons, baby. You know, I'm coming in. I've got the sorceress in my back pocket. I'm going to check things out. Oh, West, you're revealing yourself to me? Oh, Jesse, you're revealing yourself to me? Okay. I see who you are. I see exactly who you are. We're going to have some fun. We're going to play this out. I'm keeping you at a distance. I'm choosing me. I'm out. I'm weaving my magic. I'm out. By the way, you guys, I have no idea if this is going to make sense to anyone. Again, I'm still having trouble finding my words because, again, I think there's something here about mystery for Ciara. But there's just something that I keep coming back to for her of like trying to make something work that's never going to work. And in doing so, she abandons her inner knowing for herself. And in doing so, she abandons herself. And like I said, I think there's something in her that's so terrified that if she chooses herself and she honors her inner knowing, it's going to leave her alone in this heartbroken, grievous, devastating, painful way. And what I want to say to her is, no, there's a relationship to sacred aloneness that you're meant to have as the sorceress in the shadows. But the more that you choose yourself and honor your inner knowing, you will then ultimately draw to you the people, places, and things that are right for you. So I believe there's like meaningful relationship that's waiting for Ciara. But even within that relationship, she's always going to be coming back to her own self, her own inner knowing, the sorceress in the shadows. I think there's always going to be a quality of sacred aloneness in Ciara's journey. I think there's always going to be like a secret in her back pocket. I think there's always going to be kind of like a wise witness who's watching everything that's happening as it's happening. And I think the more that she lets herself get comfortable with that, the more her life will start to fall into place. All right, you guys. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like kind of like last week with West, where I had to really first sit with the deep fear of knowing himself more fully in order sort of to clear the way to drop into him. I feel like something similar is like just happened with Ciara. There was something here that I just feel like needed to be named about the sacred relationship to shadow, the sorceress in the shadow, the sacred aloneness, something about that just felt like it had to be named and cleared before I could drop into Ciara on a deeper level. Yeah. Okay. So having said all that, I'm now going to kind of return to the usual form, and I'm just going to drop into Ciara towards West and Amanda and all of this. Okay, it's interesting. So yeah, I dropped in and I did start to feel some things, and just immediately what came up was this feeling like wanting to respect what wants to remain in shadows for now. It just, like I said from the beginning, there's something about this that's felt a little, there's just something about this that's felt like it's wanted to be handled with care. And I feel like the main theme in this message for Ciara is about honoring and respecting her sacred relationship to the Shadow Keeper. And I just think, and again, that's the thing, right? It's about Ciara feeling used. And I just suddenly have this feeling like there's something about in this moment of like sort of dropping into Ciara for, possible deeper impulses without her express permission. It's just like somehow she is getting used and I don't want to use her. And again, if we're sort of approaching this from like an energetic, from the place of like energetic pattern and energy being real, it's almost like, I started this whole thing with Ciara claiming her seat at the table. And I think for me, if I trust like everything that's happening, it's almost like the way that I support Ciara to take her seat at the table is by respecting the energetic sovereignty of not using her feelings without her permission. Yeah, and this just makes total sense to me because it's like, the whole premise of this podcast is this idea of like we're taking these people who are in, the public eye, who, they're real people, but then they become like sort of public avatars. And as such, they become, living symbols of the collective consciousness. And so I like to kind of intuitively explore to see what are they reflecting of the collective consciousness? What are they reflecting of you? What are they reflecting of me? Right. So there's something here about, again, the visibility, the public persona, being in the public eye. But everything that we're talking about, Ciara, is about this powerful relationship to the secrecy of shadows. And I want to honor and respect that in her. And I want to let that energy know you're allowed to claim your seat at the table as your secret self. And you don't have to perform for anyone. So I think I'm just going to leave it there. And I notice it's hard for me to leave it there. It's hard for me to leave it there. I hear the question coming in, is this enough? I also hear or feel the discomfort with the space that opens up when I leave it there. So again, I think this is the ambivalence. Yeah, there's just so much more I could say. And again, I just keep coming back to this notion of like honoring the impulse not to say it all. So I think I'm just gonna sort of leave with this. I just have this mental image in my mind of like Ciara in her red sorceress robes with her red piercing eye, claiming her seat at the summer house table. Like I'm literally seeing the house and summer house, and I'm seeing them gathered around at the dinner table, and I'm just seeing Ciara there in her red secret sorceress outfit, her face hidden in the cloaks of the shadows of the robes, her red eyes peering out and letting herself be in her private secret world where she's clocking everything, honoring her inner wisdom, weaving her spells, and then keeping it fucking moving. Yeah, feels really good to say all that. All right, you guys, this was a episode unlike any other. I have no idea if this made any sense to anyone, but let me know. And if you have questions, maybe there's stuff I can clarify in the future. I never know what's going to happen when I sit down in front of this microphone. As always, follow me on Instagram if you don't already. Jamie Stein, JAMIESTEIN. Head to my website if you're curious about my work and send me an email. And until then, I will see you on the flip side. Bye.